Mr. President, we've seen this movie before. The Senate finds itself in familiar territory. The United States narrowly avoided hitting the debt ceiling over a year ago, but now we're staring down the barrel of another debt crisis. The U.S. hit the debt limit last Thursday, according to the Secretary of Treasury, and now the Treasury is using what they refer to euphemistically as extraordinary measures in order to prevent the government from defaulting on its debts. Unless the Congress takes action in the coming months, the American economy will be confronted with an unprecedented crisis. But here's what I find strange. Despite the fact that we are hurtling toward this disaster, the White House seems completely disinterested in finding a solution. President Biden has drawn a red line. He said, we are not going to negotiate on the debt ceiling. In other words, he expects Congress to raise the debt ceiling with no conditions attached and let this reckless runaway spending and outrageous debt continue to rise. Now, I don't want to disparage drunken sailors, but it seems to me that is the model for how the White House is responding. It's as if you or I were spending beyond our means on our credit card, and then the issuer of the credit card said, you know, you're going to have to pay the money back at some point. And you say, to heck with that, I want you to raise my credit limit even higher without any demonstrated means or plan to actually pay the money back. We know what would happen for you and me is the issuer of the credit card would cancel our credit card, as well it should.
Many are now suggesting that you should file a tax return, even if you don't need to, because you may be able to claim up to $2,000 in extra relief money. Friends, please do make sure that you watch until the end of this video, because I will be going over all of the details. Also, to say thank you so much for being part of this community. I will be giving away 2 Walmart gift cards in a video later today. Please make sure, friends, that you enter these weekly giveaways. All you have to do is make sure that you are subscribed to my channel, click and like several of my videos, and then comment below the keyword of each video that you watch. The more videos that you comment on, the more likely your chances, friends, of winning these giveaways. The tax season in the U.S. is nearly upon us. The Internal Revenue Service will start accepting and processing returns for the 2022 tax year on January 23rd. It is thought that more than 168 million individual tax returns are due to be filed before the April 18th deadline, giving the tax agency a huge task to undertake. However, there is hope that this year's filing tax season will go a lot more smoothly than the previous 3 years. This year, the IRS has been given additional funds from the federal government to ensure that the process can be completed swiftly. The IRS aims to ensure that taxpayers who file electronically receive their refund within 21 days of filing, assuming they select the direct deposit option. But although the IRS is due to start processing returns on January 23rd, the agency will not begin issuing refunds for the recipients of the Earned Income Tax Credit or the Additional Child Tax Credit before mid-February. The past few years have been very chaotic for the tax authority, with the crisis in a variety of ways. In 2020, the crisis hit in the middle of the filing tax season, forcing IRS workers to leave the office and preventing all in-person assistance. And then in the following years, the IRS was tasked with the administration of a number of crisis-era relief programs, from stimulus checks to the expanded child tax credit. And as a result of that disruption, a huge backlog of unprocessed returns were built up. In a bid to boost the agency's capabilities, President Biden included additional funding for the IRS in the Inflation Reduction Act that was passed last year. Subsequently, the IRS has hired another 5,000 telephone operators to assist with filers' queries and brought on more in-person staff to aid the process. The Internal Revenue Service, after receiving $80 billion this summer to rebuild its workforce and modernize its legacy IT, is coming up with a plan to make the most of this funding over nearly a decade. The tax agency has created an Inflation Reduction Act Transformation and Implementation Program Office to coordinate the spending. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has already directed the IRS to produce an operational plan with details of how the additional Inflation Reduction Act funding will be spent. And that report is due in mid-February. Taxpayers who earn less than the standard deduction, which is $12,550 for single filers in 2021, do not have to file a tax return. However, it can make sense to file one anyway, even if you don't technically need to. That is because there could be cash owed to you by the IRS, especially if you have dependents. It could come from two sources. Number one, reclaiming taxes that you've already overpaid, or number two, claiming tax credits that you are entitled to, including money from the third stimulus check if you haven't already received it. The first is a refund for taxes you don't actually owe. Single taxpayers under the age of 65 who earn less than $12,550 do not have to pay income tax on their earnings. But if you made less than these amounts in 2021 and taxes were withheld by an employer, you could be owed a refund. Refundable tax credits can also be extremely valuable for people who don't normally file a tax return, since it can be paid out in cash even if you don't owe anything in taxes. Non-refundable credits and other deductions, on the other hand, can only be used to reduce the amount of taxes that you owe. The Earned Income Tax Credit is a refundable tax credit that is worth up to $6,728 for low and moderate income workers. The credit amount is based on how many children you claim, although you can still file if you have no children. In the case of no qualifying children being claimed, the payout is $1,502. To my greatest and beautiful friends, that is the end of my daily stimulus update video for this Friday. Friends, thank you so very much for joining me here every day and for being part of this community. In a video later today, I will be announcing the two winners for the Walmart gift card giveaways. Please make sure, friends, that you do stay tuned for that video. Thank you.